Seattle head coach Mike Macdonald is among a crop of 8 new head coaches in the NFL for the 2024 season. Macdonald taking over for Pete Carroll as a changing of the guard takes place in the Emerald City. The Seahawks went from having the oldest head coach to the youngest by hiring him, and he's proven to be a standout defensive schemer, most recently with the Baltimore Ravens. Macdonald and his staff are not at the Combine, but his boss, GM John Schneider, is, and he spoke with Rick Spielman and Josina Anderson today.
So we are standing by with the general manager of the Seattle Seahawks, John Schneider. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And it looks like you have a new head coach in Mike Macdonald. So instantly, I'm just curious, what convinced you on picking him beyond just him being really brilliant with the Ravens defense this season?
Well, that's obviously a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Probably, the product first. You can see his experience with the Ravens. World championship caliber organization for a number of years, and then obviously what he did at Michigan. And then when you sit down with the individual, very, very clear thinker, intelligent, mature, awesome.
Talk about the transition, because you and Pete made one of the best combinations in the NFL, the way you worked with personnel.
Thanks, Rick.
How it married up onto the field. But can you talk a little bit about how that will carry over into this relationship and everything you and Pete had that was so special?
It'll be the same. We're going to work our tails off. We're going to have a fun time doing it and, get to learn each other. It's crazy. We feel super blessed. It was 15 years ago that, Pete and I were here just kind of learning each other and, the different philosophies and, what he had done with, the Trojans and the Jets and the Patriots and my experience, in Green Bay and the Chiefs. And all that. We're doing resumes here, I guess. Sorry. But
anything else you want to pat yourself on the back with?
Sorry. But no, just 15 years ago, and then now here we are. The staff didn't come down. They're staying back up in Seattle. We got Mike did a great job through his process, getting the guys together finally, and then now they're just spending the week getting to know the team and then putting in their systems. And so, hopefully next week we'll get back and just create that alignment more with the coaching staff by position.
Can you already tell, the impact that Mike Macdonald is having on your vision and approach for how you are, going about this process, even with the Combine and in the path to the draft, as you were previously aligned, obviously, with Pete, and then now having someone who is a different part of your tandem?
It's really just, helping him with his staff, and it was fun, like I said, to watch his process and be able to sit in some of those interviews and the way he was speaking to people and, all the ball they were talking and how this is all going to fit together. And Coach Frazier's with us, so that helped a lot too with all the experience that Leslie has. But, really just getting to know each other, I think, is the biggest thing. And knowing, like, he said to me the other day, he was asking me a question, and I was like, oh, yeah, good point. Like, we haven't gone through free agency together. We haven't gone through a draft together. So, yeah, this is what our meetings are going to look like. This is how we conduct business. No walls, no silos. We're in this thing together. And I think that's probably the biggest, his experience in Baltimore is phenomenal. They draft so well and, sign great players. So I'm hoping there's not going to be that big of a transition.
Can you talk a little bit deeper about when you have a new head coach in and you and Pete understanding when your scouts are in there what a Seattle Seahawk is and what it looks like by position and what traits? Has that changed from what you guys done in the past, and how do you get everybody on the same page? Yeah,
our experience so far is really Rick, because it's a lot of the you heard the play like a Raven thing, right?
Yeah.
And so always compete, and so a lot of the same philosophical similarities that was really smooth in the interview process, and then through the transition of being able to spend as much time as we have together and like I said, just, working his process and listening to him interview people too and what's important to him. And then, being able to sit down. We sat down as a group on Friday with all the coaches and just kind of went through our team and had Willie and those guys, just kind of let them know how we felt about people. So, yeah, it's just different, and we'll get to know. I mean, you've worked with a number of different coaches, and how many different coaches you've interviewed and got to know over the years, right? It's just getting to know the people, and that's probably the biggest thing we're working on right now.
You guys provided a really comfortable nest for Gino Smith, particularly in his transition coming from the Jets and how he was able to kind of grow in his own skin in Seattle. And there's an emotion attached to that, right? So as a general manager, how are you trying to live in that space where you're assessing what he's giving you, and when is the kind of median line to look at a younger prospect as a place like this?
Well, I was blessed to be able to, work with Ron Wolf, and like every year it was like, which quarterback are you going to take? And we've been here 14 years, and we've only taken 2 guys, which, I was able to have dinner with him the other night, and he was kind of giving me some crud about it. So it just happens that way. It's not something you go, into a draft saying, oh, we're not going to take a quarterback. It's just the way things fall, and where you're moving around the board, and what that looks like. It hasn't been intentional. And so, Alex Magoo and Russ, those are the only guys we've taken, and this is a cool class. So, hopefully it works, but I can't tell you how it's going to go. But we have a lot of love for Drew. We have a lot of love for Gino, and Gino's done a phenomenal job. So, yeah, I think we're in a good place there.
How quickly did this coaching staff have to get up to date? You have a lot of critical decision making on players that you want to keep, potentially going out and being active in free agency.
Yeah.
How long does that take for everybody to get on the same page? Because it comes in, and it's like drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah, thanks. You just made me start sweating more. No, I think it's we're in that process, Rick, and that's what I'm saying. Getting back next week, I think coming down here, getting the lay of the land from all the agents and all the different teams that we speak to, and then being able to get back and sit down with them. They've had a week together to study and get to know our players a little bit better. We're asking for a lot of going through this transition, a lot of grace and a lot of patience from our players. So we're very thankful for that.
And then just quickly, too, there's been so many iterations of the defense, particularly since the days I was coming to Seattle way more often from the Legion of Boom and all of that other stuff. So I'm curious how you're assessing where the defense is now, even compared to those kind of yesteryears of all of that lore.
Wow.
And from that, what you feel like you need, to kind of fill in the spaces from this draft,
Great question. It's really about, the stadium. And the stadium's so loud. The fans are great. So you want people who can jump off the ball. You want to play with team speed. There's a certain camaraderie that comes, with playing in front of that fan base. And so it really, without getting into the specifics of the positions, which I'm trying to do.
Okay.
Trying not to do that.
I can tell you, just follow us on With the First Pick podcast.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we love it. We love it.
No, really, we, again, 15 years ago, we talked about just playing with a lot of speed and a lot of intensity in that stadium, and it's a hard place to go, and it's a hard place to play when that place is rocking.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Yeah. John, we appreciate you taking a few minutes out.
Yeah, you look amazing, tan, and you look super pretty.
I was born with a tan, actually, John. So
I'm like, Rick, you're so tan. He's like, I live in Florida, man.
There you go.
It's hard to avoid the sun.
Take the compliment when you can get it, Rick. Okay.
I appreciate you guys.
Yes, well, we appreciate it. For John Schneider and Rick, I'm Josina Anderson. Back to you guys.
All the major storylines from the Combine and around the NFL up for discussion on the Pick 6 podcast. Will Brinson and all these super friends walking you through all the major storylines of the offseason. You can download and follow wherever you get your podcasts or scan that QR code to listen to the latest episode right now.